What's up, everybody? This is Post-Production Pie with SLRLounge.com. Welcome to another episode of Constructive Critique. We're doing things a little bit different today. I have my video camera on, which you can see me now. Hello. I have a new shock mount for my mic, which is awesome. I want to show it off to you guys. See this? I have a new arm and shock mount, actually. Same mic, but it's just positioned nicer, so it's not in my face, and I don't have to adjust it all day long, which is great. I'm excited about it. You should be excited about it. Anyway, let's move on to our constructive critique. This is where you guys go to SLRLounge.com. You click on the forum section right here on the right, which takes you to, actually not this page, it's this page. And you're going to click on constructive critique. Once you get there, be sure to read our sticky on constructive critique rules, just so everybody has good etiquette. Want to make sure everybody's participating, everybody's giving and receiving. It's Christmas all year long on the SLR Lounge constructive critique forums, guys. All right, so let's jump into our very first image. This is First Steps, and this is by Mick Jolie. He made a picture of sister learning her to walk, teaching her to walk, whatever. This is at a father's workplace because sister wanted to show my father how her daughter can stand on her own. This was shot in a Canon T1i on an 18-135 lens, camera settings ISO 800, 1/80th of a second, aperture f4, focal length 24 millimeters. Now, I absolutely dig this shot. I think this is exactly why we purchased DSLRs at home, to take awesome shots like this. A beautiful expression on this lovely girl here teaching this lovely baby how to walk, which is really awesome. I dig the shot for every particular reason. I think it's great overall. I think the one thing that might just be, I mean, Dutch angle is cool. Dutch angle is basically where you have this little 10-15 degree slant to the image. It's used often to add kind of that sense of anxiousness to the image, and it kind of works on this image. I think I'd like it too. Without Dutch angle, it's really up to you. Just remember that Dutch angle doesn't just mean creative. So we're not just doing that because we think it's creative, but because we want to add that sense of excitement or anxiety to that photo. But I dig it. I love the way it's processed. I love the way it looks. It's a really nice, natural shot. Great image at home. If you're kind of shooting and you're planning on doing framing and stuff like that with the image, one thing I would always recommend is just kind of clean up the background a little bit. Like, you can move this thermos off the camera if it's possible to like kind of move this plastic out of the way, or just position them in a place that you'd get a little bit cleaner of background, and that way it's it's basically ready to go in frame, and you can have this nice beautiful image up and it looks professional, looks awesome. But otherwise, I think this is a great candid shot in that moment, and good job. All right, so let's go on to this next one. This is Attempt at Macro by Mohammed Ismail. Let's take a look at this. All right. Now, I absolutely dig this shot. This looks like an old record player with a record underneath it, and it's a beautiful macro image. I mean, macro, the whole thing that makes it great is just that we get to look at things from a completely different perspective, you know? I mean, a lot of us don't have this kind of record player, but if we did, we probably wouldn't take a glance at it from this close up, looking at the grooves on the actual record itself, looking at the needle and everything like that. And that's what makes macro photography so cool, is we get these kind of unique perspectives on everyday things. And I absolutely love this shot. I love the color grading that you've done. You have kind of this blue overall tone to it. It looks really beautiful. It's a great shot. I see these grooves on the record itself. I think overall it's absolutely wonderful. So great job. For an attempt at macro, you did a great job, because it's not an attempt, it is a good photograph. All right, let's go on to our next shot right here, which is Crown. And this is from Matt. And he says, I was shooting some droplets not that long ago, figured out that I'd post one or two for us to judge. And he says, question in general, are there any rules one must follow in this kind of photography? Well, here's my thing on rules. Rules are kind of, they're in every area of photography, and yes, there are rules on shooting, say, droplets. I don't necessarily know every single one of them, but the same compositional rules are going to apply what you're trying to go for as far as the shape of the droplets and everything like that. But look, once you know the rules of your particular area of photography that you're trying to shoot, then the rules are just meant to be broken. You do whatever it takes to get a cool shot, and just because you broke the rules doesn't mean it's not a great shot, okay? So, in fact, some of the best shots, and we're going to show you one a little bit later on, some of the best shots I feel like break all the rules, and that's what makes them so unique. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Worry about whether you like the shot and whether you think that you have a unique, basically, subject and composition and everything like that. Now, as far as the shot and the composition goes, I'd probably crop it just so that we have this little droplet centered, because it looks kind of like we're going with a symmetrical composition, but it's just a little bit off center. So I'd probably crop it just to fix that. As far as the droplet and the shape itself, I've seen droplets with a little bit more unique kind of shapes to them. They kind of have a little bit more action in them, and I think that's where you could really improve on this. But overall, as far as the lighting goes, it looked great. I don't know what's in the water, but the tones and the kind of the blues that are coming off of it look absolutely awesome. I like everything about it, except I just wish there was a little bit more action in that drop. Like I wish it was kind of peaking a little bit higher, and we just saw a little bit more of that motion in the water. But I think it's a really cool shot. You did a great job freezing it. You did a great job with your lighting work, and good job there. All right, let's head on to the next image, which is Glamour Shot by Bree93. All right, she said this is one of their favorite portraits. See what we think about it. Retouching could be better. Blemishes and a few bits of hair. The camera used was Canon T3i, 18 to 55 millimeter kit lens. I'm so tired of names of cameras. I'm so confused at all the different names. The T3i is also a 600D and all this kind of stuff. This isn't anybody's fault. This is Canon and Nikon's fault. I get so confused. Like I was writing an article today. I'm like, which one is better? The 6D, the 60D, the 600D, all the D. I was like, okay, just stop. I can't take it anymore. Anyway, lighting used was one softbox, one hair light. It was photoshopped or fixed up in CS5. Let's open this up. Okay, I think as far as the image goes, you did a great job shooting it. I assume that kind of the sharpness and everything is a reduction of quality from the blog or from the forum. Let's take a look on Flickr just to see what it looks like. And it was indeed. It looks much better on Flickr. So as far as the lighting goes, you did a great job there. As far as the posing goes, great job there. As far as her expression, I like the look. It's very mysterious. It's great. The hair on the left side falls a little bit to a deep dark black, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. That's totally okay. It's really just whether or not you're looking for that look. It has a more dramatic look than it had if you had a kind of a hair light on the left side, adding a little kick into the left side of her hair. But it looks fine. The right side hair looks great. Everything about the image really works. The only thing that I would say on this image as far as the way that it was shot is that you have basically this crop doesn't show any of her clothing except for this little tiny strip right here. And what that does is it basically makes the subject look like they are naked, like they're without clothes. Now, if that's the look that you're going for, then cool. I'd crop in just a little bit so we get her clothing out, and then it has kind of this implied nude type look with the portrait. But if you're not going for that look, and if she doesn't want that look, then she'll probably feel a little bit shy or a little bit hesitant posting it or using it anywhere because, again, people are going to get the impression that this was essentially a nude portrait. All right, so one thing I would recommend is just if you want to convey the clothing, pull the crop down just a little bit. I love where you're cropping on the forehead or kind of on the top of the head, but just pull the clothing crop down a tiny bit so we see a little bit of it in frame. All right. And then as far as the production, I think it looks great. I think the black and whiting looks awesome on it. You have these big, beautiful catch lights on the image, which look awesome as well. The eyes might look a titch too bright, and you also have a tiny bit of kind of like this black veining going on the right eye. With the eyes, it's kind of like one of those things where if you go too far, it looks a little bit on the fake side. And this is the thing is that if we look at a fashion magazine, the eyes are incredibly fake in a fashion magazine. So it really depends on what you're going for. If you're going for natural, I'd say we went a tiny bit too far with her eyes on this image. But if you're going for that kind of over-the-top fashion look, then it's absolutely fine. I would just clean up the black in this side on that vein, and then you're totally solid. As far as the skin, it looks a little bit soft and smoothed over too much. I'd recommend really getting in there with a fine cloning tool and kind of cloning out all the small blemishes and stuff like that. Not using any overall smoothing beyond just a slight drop in clarity. That way you don't get kind of that loss of skin pore look. And maybe her pores are just that fine, but kind of from where I'm seeing it here, it looks like it's a little bit too smoothed over. Other than that, great job. I think overall it's a really great job. So let's go on to the next image, and this is Meeting Place. This is by Andreas Christensen, and this is a shot that I'm talking about that kind of breaks the rules. Okay, now we're following some rules, but it's kind of breaking other rules. And I'll tell you exactly what I mean by it in just a second. But this is shot on a 600D, which, hey, we know that that's a Rebel now. That's a T3i. I know because that's what the other one was. And this is shot at f8, 1/500th of a second, and ISO 100. Now, this is what I mean by breaking rules. Okay, so obviously there's not really any rules of, rules of composition in this shot. It's pretty much followed. I mean, we have them framed on the 1/3 line here, and they're kind of close. The horizon line is close to the 1/3 line, but it's kind of off, and that's totally fine. If it was framed lower, it'd be totally fine as well. But the rules for photography say that things must be correctly exposed. And obviously this isn't a correct exposure because it's a silhouette shot. But that's what makes it awesome, is because it's a silhouette shot, and it's one of probably my favorite shots that I've actually seen on the blog. From the overall toning to kind of the story that it's telling, I absolutely love this image. And Andreas, it's a great job of you being able to kind of pick that off and seeing that in the horizon, because we'd see this much differently with our eyes than the camera would. So he did an absolutely great job in shooting it, in processing it, just picking up on that shot to begin with, and the overall composition I absolutely love. This is one of those shots that I think works beautifully as a fine art image. You could put this into 500 pics with a gallery. I'm sure people would buy it, frame it. It's one of those images that I would love to have kind of printed as a big canvas and framed, or not framed canvas, but printed as a big canvas and hung in my house. I love this shot. So great job, Andreas, and to heck with the rules is what I say. Let's go on to Looking at You. This is by Hilly330. This is from Dave. Dave's one of our awesome forum participants, and he does a lot on the forum. So be sure to give Dave a shout out, because he is one of the big guys on the forum that is basically critiquing and helping give everyone feedback. We have a few guys that do a great job. Dave, Christoph, there's a lot of you that if I don't mention your names, don't be offended. But anyway, look out for these guys and help them out too, because they do an awesome job of helping others. So Dave, this is a great shot. I know that you've been playing around, and someone just came into my room while I'm recording. Who is that? Chris. Hey, Chris. I forgot to turn on my recording light. So anyway, Dave, this is a great shot. I dig it. I think that I've seen a lot of the recent stuff that you've been shooting on the forum, as far as kind of shots of your girls and your children and stuff like that. And they've looked great, and I dig this shot. I think you've shown kind of dramatic improvement in the lighting every single shot that you've taken, and this one I love. It kind of reminds me of Laurie's shot of his eyes with that toning, with the overall look, the beautiful catch light in the eyes. It's a really captivating photo that I dig. So really nice job there, and there's not really much I can critique about this, Dave. I think it's a great shot. I think when we're shooting this close, you could do a little bit more on the retouch side, kind of cleaning up any kind of tones or any areas on the skin that we might want to just, I don't want to say they're blemishes, they're just little marks that when we're looking up close, it'll just kind of look a little bit nicer cleaned up. But other than that, I really dig. I also dig kind of the hair on the right side too. Really cool shot, Dave. Great job. Let's go on to the next image. Oh, by the way, one thing I probably wouldn't mention on this one is just showing maybe a little bit less forehead. I probably would have cropped it in just a bit tighter here, and showing lips over forehead would probably be a little bit better, or just cropping in really tight so it's just eyes, essentially. All right, that's it as far as that goes. Let's go on to the next one. This is Pole Vaultier. That's my French pronunciation of Pole Vaultier. I'm just kidding. I just said it wrong. This is from Caleb Kiter, and this is his first post. Enjoying the YouTube videos. Thought I'd submit an image and give it a try. Well, great job, because this image that you submitted was just randomly selected to be in the video. All right, so he took this on a 7D with a 7200 f2.8 LIS. Did a great job with the shot. Looks like you had good settings. You captured and froze the motion, which is awesome. I really dig the overall shot and the look, and I think with, whenever you're doing sports photography and action photography, the main thing about that is just essentially spamming the trigger until you get that perfect shot with the perfect action, with the perfect expression and everything that all comes into that one shot. This is a beautiful shot of this pole vaulter going over this bar, and I think from that pole vaulter's perspective, it's an amazing shot. They would love it. They would love to have it, love to print it, and everything like that. I think from like a magazine or an editorial perspective, it might be missing a little bit of the emotion that, say, Sports Illustrated might be looking for in conveying. And that really just has to do with, once again, it's almost kind of the luck of the draw. If you go to a sporting event, and I'd always recommend this, if you guys can, try and get a press pass and go to, like, say, a basketball game or whatever. Make connections. I've gotten to do it once, just kind of through a friend who worked for the University of Utah football team, and he got me on the field, and I was actually shooting with all the other professional photographers and all the student photographers as well. And you'll notice that these guys are absolutely incredible at being able to anticipate where the action is happening and moving to the action. And then they just essentially get their settings right and spam the trigger until something is just perfect. They might shoot 1,000 images, and 1 or 2 of them actually will go and get published in the magazine. So it's all about just kind of being in the right place, right time, which I think it's a great shot. I think it's everything is right. I think it could be a little bit better if we shot a little more and got more expression. Like if he was turned back with his head cocked back a little bit so we could see his face just a bit more, it'd make an image like this all the more compelling. But that being said, it's a great shot in and of itself. I love seeing kind of the ripped muscles on this guy. It is a guy, right? Is this a guy or I'm sorry. If this is a girl, I'm really, really sorry. But anyway, his or her very top muscles, very cool, kind of in just capturing that expression and everything like that. All right, so great job, everybody. Thank you all so much for submitting your images to the Constructive Critique Forum, and we'll see you all in the next episode. Peace out.